Hey everyone, welcome back to the Athlete Mobility Blueprint. So over the first couple of weeks, we've mainly focused on flexibility. In this video, I'm going to focus on how to add strength and control to get mobility. So once we have a passive range of motion, we want to make that active and usable. So how do we do that? Well, we need to train in our end ranges. And there's 4 categories of movements we can do to add that strength and control. And I've listed them in order from easiest to hardest. So in other words, you should start here and work your way down. So the first one is called a passive range hold. And the name is actually self-explanatory. So you're going to take your joint into its maximum passive range, and then you're going to try to hold it and then release whatever was holding it there in place, so it now has to do that on its own. So I'm going to take an example of hip flexion. So if I grab my knee and pull it up like this, this is my maximum passive hip flexion. In other words, my flexibility. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to hold that, then I'm going to let go, and that's going to be my passive range hold. Then I can re-grab it, pull back up, engage, let go. So as you can see, there's a difference between where I can lift the leg to and then where I can hold it. And that is the difference between my flexibility and my mobility. So doing that passive range hold, trying to get that engagement in your end range of flexibility and then holding it, that is teaching your nervous system how to use that range of motion. And so just like all strength training, we need to make it challenging. So I can't just do like 1 rep of 3 seconds. I actually want to work it until my muscles are getting sore and tired. Just like we need to do our back squats till our legs are actually fatigued for it to actually have an effect. So passive range holds is the simplest. It's still really difficult to do, but it is the simplest for our nervous system to figure out and for us to start to learn how to access that range of motion. The second thing would be a lift-off. Now this would involve a concentric as well as an eccentric contraction. So let's take a bicep curl. This is our concentric contraction of the bicep. This is our eccentric. So concentric is shortening, eccentric lengthening. When I do my passive range hold, all we have is eccentric because we're going from here to here. So the muscle is actually lengthened. Now the lift off, we're going to add in that concentric. So what I would do is perhaps place my foot on a high box or a table, anything really, where it's really close to my end range. Then I'm going to lift off, hold, and then go back down. So this is now adding in the concentric and the eccentric contractions. It's more difficult, and you need to make sure you're able to perform the passive range holds before you can even attempt to get into those lift-offs. Now, once we've done our lift-offs, these are normally in one line of work or line of tissue. So basically, we're in one spot, we're moving up, we're moving down, one spot. Now a hover would be changing the angle. So I might start here, then I have an object I need to lift over, and then place back down on the other side. So now we're adding in even more control as well as the strength in the concentric and eccentric. And then finally, we have our end range rotations. So a hover would be resting, lifting up and over an object, or even just an imaginary object, and then resting again. So we have concentric, hover, eccentric. Now the end range rotations, we take out that rest in between reps. And we're basically working our joint right in its end range, making small rotations with no rest. So often you'll hear someone say, oh, imagine you're like making a rotation around a tennis ball or something. And once again, this is adding in even more strength and control. And so through progressing through these different types of exercises, and once we have the flexibility that we want, we can then make it more usable, stronger, reduce our risk of injury, add in that strength and control to get mobility, which is our ultimate goal. All right, guys, let me know if you have any questions on that one. And I'm going to be sharing with you more specific exercises for different joints. So specific passive range holds for shoulders, hips, ankles, etc. Specific lift-offs, hovers, and end range rotations. But this was just to introduce you to the concepts. So yeah, I hope you found that video helpful. If you have any questions, please reach out to me, and I will see you in the next video.